And some people may be wondering, okay, so the Prime Minister was in Accompong, what's so special about that to make it deserving of treatment on the front page? The fact is that the leadership of the Accompong Maroons, led by Colonel Richard Currie, the chief, who has been in place since 2021, has been a difficult one. Uh, in 2022, in about January 2022, the Prime Minister convened a meeting with Maroon chiefs. Currie was not invited to the meeting. He took umbrage at that, and it has made for a very tense relationship with the government since then. Holness has avowed that not an inch of Jamaica will be designated sovereign territory for any group, in reaction to the push by Currie for the Accompong Maroons to be treated as sovereigns, and for the Maroon lands that the Accompong Maroons occupy to be treated as sovereign territories, saying that, listen, this is our right. We fought for this kind of right to control this space. Jamaica begged for its independence. So we are different. And that has caused both the Accompong Maroons and the government to be at loggerheads for the better part of 3 years. And so to see the Prime Minister in Accompong now, to be fair, Chief Currie said, listen, I don't want to fight and quarrel with the government. I want them to recognize our rights and to respect our rights, and together we can move forward with civility. Holness has said, yes, of course we can all be civil because we're all Jamaicans and the whole country, we're one people. And this is the message he brought to Accompong on Sunday to look at the areas worst affected by Hurricane Melissa and to see how the state can assist Accompong to get back on its feet, especially with the annual Maroon Festival looming. It's January 6th. Next year is set for January 6, 2026. And the work is underway now to try to get the place looking very good to accommodate the thousands of visitors who descend on the community each year to celebrate with the Maroons. So the backdrop for the visit by the Prime Minister is 3 years of uneasy, tense relations with the Maroons. The chief of the Maroons, Richard Currie, militant and saying that the government should recognize that he's leading a sovereign people in a sovereign nation. Holness saying, no, not so. All of Jamaica is one, and there's no part that is cut off and made sovereign or should be cut off and made sovereign by any group, and that won't happen on my watch. And that, again, provides a backdrop for the visit on Sunday, Sandre.
In a visit yesterday, Prime Minister Andrew Holness pledged that no community will be left unattended as recovery efforts ramp up. The destruction in Accompong has been extensive, with roughly 80% of homes reportedly damaged and critical infrastructure, including the local primary school, destroyed. The Prime Minister was brought up to date on the relief efforts done so far at the local level.
My presence here today is to demonstrate, reaffirm, and to establish that there is no community for which the government of Jamaica is not responsible. There is no community in which the government of Jamaica must not be present. And there is no community that is neglected or taken for granted. The government of Jamaica, which I represent, is responsible for every community, for every Jamaican. The government of Jamaica respects the local efforts, the local government, and the local organizations of communities. That is the strength of Jamaica. That is what makes us strong. We will never be the same, everyone. We will have different perspectives. We will have different views. We have a different perspective sometimes. However, we are one Jamaica. We are one people. And nothing must divide us, especially in the face of a disaster. We must unite, rebuild stronger, and recover faster. So I've seen the efforts here in relief and recovery, and I want to commend those efforts. The chief himself has done several things. He was pointing out to me his efforts in water, his efforts in getting Starlinks for telecommunications and so forth. All of these efforts at the local level must be commended. But having said that, there is a certain level of damage that individuals can't overcome. There's a certain level of damage that communities can't overcome. As the principal pointed out to me, and your chief pointed out to me, you're looking forward to January 6th. You're looking forward to your celebration. And as you are putting in your own effort as a community, you still need electricity. And it is not Chief Currie or benefactors from overseas who can do that. It has to be the government that works very quickly to try to establish that. You need water, your schools, you need the agricultural restoration, the restoration of your roads and commerce. These are things that the government has to do. But can you imagine if we are all working in concert? You do what you can do, and government does what it is supposed to do, how quickly and how more effectively the recovery can happen. It would appear sometimes that there are those who want to create a difference between the people and their government. That can't work. The people and the government must be one, especially in times of disaster. Now, I will be the first to say, having visited here many times and participated in the celebrations here many times, the Maroon communities are an important part of the cultural heritage of Jamaica. There is significant value there. It has not always been the case, and I believe this is part of Chief Currie's consideration, that it has been acknowledged and supported in the ways that it should. Chief Currie used a term which I quite like. He said this is an opportunity for a reset. And so is the hurricane. When I visited here many, many times before, one of the things I've always impressed with is the cockpit country and how beautiful a forest it is. And so it is, as the forest is given an opportunity to reset and to grow and to flourish, so it is with the relationships across Jamaica with communities that may never had the attention of the government before, as it should have. Now is an opportunity to reset, reconnect, rebuild them better than before. So I want to announce here, therefore, that I will be assigning the JDF with some of its engineering corps to assist in the restoration of roofs that can be restored, to immediately start your recovery so that you can get ready for January 6th. There are several other engineering corps that are coming in. As soon as those are confirmed in terms of the date that they will come, then I will direct some of them here and to other of the districts surrounding Accompong so that the restoration can begin. I have already announced that we're going to be pivoting very shortly from the delivery of relief aid, food packages and care packages and the like, and we're going to use the resources that we would normally use to deliver those. As I see a truck here from the JDF with a lot of relief packages in it. When I say we are going to pivot and transition, you will still see the JDF trucks, but instead of the food packages, what you will see is the building materials, because that is what we want them to be out there doing now, to move into the recovery stage of the disaster, to get your roofs back on. And for those who are still in need of relief items and care items, meaning you have lost your work, you can't go to work, you can't farm, you can't sell, we will be giving what we call coupons, or some people, we may be able to give them a digital card, and you go to the supermarket or the corner shop or wherever in your community, and you get the same things that you would get in the food package. That has to be built out. It takes a little time to do that. We are hoping that we can get it up and running in most communities within the next 3 to 4 weeks. And so you're going to see less of the trucks with food packages and more of the trucks with the things necessary to help you to restore your roof. That is getting you back up to normalcy. I'm going to ask Minister Hill from the Ministry of Investment, Industry and Commerce to make contact here to get the shops up, because Chief Currie tells me that you have about 38 commercial establishments here, and many of them have been destroyed and are not operational. We want to get those operational again. So to get the economic life of the community going again so that you can return very quickly to normalcy. The principal made an impassioned plea. He wants me to direct JPS to send 50 of the 300 linesmen here that are coming. Well, I can't promise you that I can send them here, but I will certainly give some directions as to a priority that should be established to allow for the resumption of normalcy and electricity. I'm not sure you can get it back in time for January 6th, but as quickly as possible.
But look, I agree wholeheartedly with Chief Currie saying that it's a time for a reset, because he will tell you that his attitude towards the Holness administration is justified because they disrespected him, he will say, by not inviting him to that summit with the Maroon leaders in 2022. And perhaps if you ask him, he may tell you that, that's why I leaned on the other side, because many people got their noses out of joint when they saw him at the PNP conference on stage addressing conference. Because to them, he had done the unforgivable, because he had taken a political side in a looming general election. And they're saying, well, even if I had any sympathy, and notwithstanding our history and our connection to the Maroons, I can't support a Maroon leader, they will say, who has chosen a side in a political battle. And so for them, Chief Currie was dead to them. They didn't want to hear anything from him. They didn't want to see him. But he will tell you that, listen, it is in advocacy for my people why I made those moves. And I was elected to do any and everything for the advancement of my people's interests and the protection of their rights. And that's why I made that decision, is the reasoning he will give. So now it has all boiled down to gravy. September 3 come and gone, long time. And the new government is in place. This problem in Accompong cannot be resolved by donors alone, or even the work of the community alone. It needs the government. And as Dr. Holness said, listen, forget about the light and the water and the public utilities. That's a government. That's government work. The government will have to do that. So it's an opportunity to reset the relationship. And I'm very happy that both men spoke about reset on Sunday, because that's the way to go forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you, George, because when you analyze it and you see how the breakdown in the relationship really played out media-wise, it didn't look good. It didn't feel good as an onlooker as well. You become skeptical when you see it becoming really political, because we are not used to the Maroons being political, or so we say. But we're not used to that public display, of choices and going to conferences and that type of thing. So understanding as well that the government is in place and the government has its own responsibility. It's a good move from both men. I would say the Prime Minister on his part going as a leader of the country, and of course the Chief as a defender of his people, but also somebody who has to liaise with the government to ensure that all the necessary things are in place for the recovery effort. It was very important, and I'm glad that it happened. And even though this is not the way I'd have hoped for it to happen, it didn't have to be Melissa, but the fact that it has happened is a good step, a step in the right direction, and I hope the relationship builds and becomes better.
And sometimes when you make certain alliances, and you do certain things, people say, boy, I don't want to hear anything from you for as long as you are occupying that role. For many people, it's not just the conference attendance and everything that turned them off Chief Currie. It's the alliance with a certain reggae icon. Them are saying, that demand. So, but I want people to look past that. Look at Chief Currie as a leader of a people, person agitating and advocating for the best for the Maroons, and he has to make the best choices. And one of those good choices he made on Sunday was to welcome the Prime Minister into the community, to show him firsthand the damage, and to reset the relationship meter to say, listen, help me to help my people, and let's reset the relationship and move forward, and we'll do as we should do and are mandated to do as we go along. All right?
Yeah.
Good step.